There was a time between, a time when the anemic population of game manuals began to wither and die, when the fledgling internet was too youthful, leaving fact forums clouded in obscurity with few plundering their depths for guidance and walkthroughs. In this age, one ruled the world of video game assistance. In those days, it was Prima Games who reigned supreme. Yeah, I'm happy with that joke. Hey guys, girls, and NB homies. Change is scary, but you can call me Church. Welcome to Church on Monday, the show where I talk at you about shit I like. And this week, I quite like reading, but I also really like video games. So I was wondering, could one read a video game? No, I'm not talking novelizations. Too many words, not enough pictures. I'm talking about the mother of all obsolete media, printed video game guides. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't have a huge history with these. I was born in a time and mental state where I just didn't have much use for them, but I do remember the first Prima guide I ever got. It was late 2010, and I desperately wanted Fallout New Vegas. My best friend had pre-ordered it, and he was playing it and telling me how fucking awesome it was, so I needed this now. So I asked my dad if we could go up after school and buy it. Now, this was an hour and a half drive to the nearest fucking GameStop, so it was quite an undertaking. And the truth is, this was my freshman year of high school, so I had football practice after. And I was cool with it. I was like, fuck it, I'll skip practice. I don't give a shit. And my dad was like, no, write it down. I'll go up and buy the game for you. Great fucking guy. Love him. And when he got back to pick me up from football practice, in the passenger seat of the car was sitting Fallout New Vegas and this big honkin' fucking game guide for it. Now, he was like, the guy at the GameStop said, awesome new game, massive, so you'll want this Prima guide. And honestly, I was pretty pumped about it. It's very detailed. It gives you maps for all the locations. It gives you full walkthroughs for all the quests and how they interact with other quests. Really good guide. And I actually did use it a lot. But really, that was the only game guide that I ever actually got and used until I got into retro gaming. And I want to talk about Prima itself. So I actually did fucking research for this video, which I don't know if you know, but is unique for me. So Prima Games was established in 1990, first starting out with like collection walkthroughs, like the secrets of Nintendo games or how to make Football Manager your bitch 1902. 1992, I don't know. And then they expanded out into these big single game, full walkthroughs, item descriptions, pictures, maps, all of that shit. Now, they did have some competition at the time, like the very successful Brady Games guides, and which you sided with really just depended on the game and who got the contract to make the guide for that. But I was impressed to hear that Prima began to modernize in a pretty timely fashion. In 2005, they started publishing all of their guides on their website electronically so that you could purchase them that way and go through them that way, which was prescient. And in 2006, they started engaging on this forum site called The Syndicate, where they got in contact with a lot of game devs. And this really expanded the scope of their guides, making them basically the go-to for any in-depth game strategy, especially for MMOs. And they eventually purchased the Syndicate, which took over all of the writing and research duties for all of their projects. Then in 2010, they started publishing all of their electronic game guides on Steam for purchase, which, again, very prescient, on the fucking curve. actually surviving. But eventually, their parent company did plan to shut them down. In Q2 of 2019, Prima Games was supposed to shut down completely. However, they got purchased and only their print division shut down. So supposedly they still exist. I don't know. I didn't go past the Wikipedia page. But the obsolete print form of their services has gone completely under. So you may wonder, why was there ever a need for this market? Why did this niche even exist? I mean, if you look back in the late 80s, buying an RPG game looked like this. So we got Final Fantasy here. Got the cart. And then you'll notice, advertised on the front of it, that it includes an 87-page manual they call the Explorer's Guide. And yeah, this manual is fucking huge. Massively detailed. It's got walkthroughs of the fucking towns you'll go through and what you want to buy when. It's essentially a company-made Prima guide, just shoved in with the game. But as you can imagine, making these manuals, maps, and guides took a lot of time and effort, especially as games became more detailed and or more skill and strategy based. So these game manuals started shrinking until today, when a lot of games don't even have full manuals. But at this time, while the internet existed, it wasn't quite mainstream enough to be leaned on for this kind of thing. You still had game magazines that would publish tips and tricks and shit like that. So there was still a real-world need for this print version of everything you could find on FAQs. Besides, the internet was still fucking dial-up at this time, so it wasn't fast or reliable enough for this to be a viable alternative. So yeah, that sounds like a great niche. Why did they die out? And really, do I have to fucking say it? Do I have to point out why any print media died out? It was the fucking internet. I mean, for my part, I was always on the internet looking for facts and guides and cheats and all that. Cheatcc.com, that was my shit. And I want to pull out my binder here. Yeah, I straight up just Control-P'd web pages with walkthroughs and guides and printed them out and put this in this fucking binder. So for my whole life, the novelty of game guides was just me printing them off online. And really, that's what happens to these companies. I'm glad to hear that they thrived for so long, adapting their medium to thrive until, again, supposedly this very day. I don't fucking know, but I don't think that this industry will reemerge. I think that it exists online as a crowd-funded, non-print cottage industry, and I think that's okay. I think it fosters community, and while there is still a need for the information they provided, it's just moved further into the hands of the people. And that's okay for some things. This isn't exactly high journalism with a massive barrier to entry. This kind of thing has always been kids on the playground saying, I heard there's this secret if you do such and such at some place in some game. And that's how it'll go on, just virtually. So if you liked this, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, share if you really want to, and let me know what game guides you had as a kid, or if you ever used game guides. So I think that's it until next time. You guys have a fantastic week, and as always, love ya. Bye. Yeah, I'm dancing